Hello, my name is Sam and this is my show. I'll be reviewing, analyzing and talk about things I like. In this instance, a movie. And the movie is A Fistful of Dollars made by my favorite director, Sergio Leone. So before I start analyzing the movie, I'd like to give you a brief summary. And of course, a brief summary means spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, go check it out and come back to my video after you've seen it. So the story begins with our nameless protagonist who makes his way into a desolate town. The desolate town is inhabited by two rival gangs. One, the Rojos, who controls the liquor trade, and number two, the Baxters, who control the arms trade. And Clint Eastwood, who is the main role in the movie, of course, doesn't really know what's going on in the movie. So the first thing he's greeted by is death. He sees a noose hanging from a tree as he enters the town, and later he sees a guy on a horse moving towards him, just to see that he's a dead man, with a sign on his back saying "Adios, amigo." But even if he's greeted by death, he makes his way into the town. And the second warning Clint Eastwood receives in his way into the town is from a crazy bell ringer, who as he laughs tells Clint Eastwood that you will die here or you will make a fortune. So as he reaches the center of the town, he gets greeted by three people. And the three people don't like him, don't like his kind, I suppose. He's a gringo, as he calls him, Americano. And they start firing in front of his mule, so the mule panics and throws Clint Eastwood off his mule. So a bit demoralized, he makes his way to the town's inn. And the inn is owned by a guy named Silvanito. Silvanito warns Clint Eastwood and time after time tries to get him to leave the town. He knows that Clint Eastwood might die. So now we've been introduced to two of the three main camps of the town. We have the Baxters, which the three men who fired at his mule's feet, is from. But also the innkeeper. He's in the middle. And the third camp is the Rojos. And the Rojos, they make a fortune trading liquor. And the Baxters, they make a similar fortune trading arms and guns. And well, he has a chit chat with the innkeeper, but decides to go back to the men who offended him and his mule. And here we get introduced to Sergio Leone's comedic value in his movies.
Adios, amigo. Listen, stranger. Did you get the idea? We don't like to see bad boys like you in town. Go get your mule. You let him get away from you?
You see, that's what I want to talk to you about. He's feeling real bad.
Huh?
My mule. You see, he got all riled up when you men fired those shots at his feet.
Hey, you making some kind of joke?
No. You see, I understand you men were just playing around, but the mule, he just doesn't get it. Of course, if you were to all apologize... I don't think it's nice, you laughing. You see, my mule don't like people laughing. It's the crazy idea you're laughing at him. Now, if you apologize like I know you're going to, I might convince him that you really didn't mean it.
I saw the whole thing. You killed all four of them.
The actors didn't really have a manuscript to follow because language barriers. Sergio Leone, he only talks Italian, and Clint Eastwood, being an American, he only talks English. So it's hard to know if it's Clint Eastwood's or if it's Sergio Leone's making. So Clint Eastwood makes his way to the three men who offended him I'm gonna shorten it down. You see a Clint Eastwood making his way from the Rojos to the Baxters, and always makes sure that they understand that he's a guy in the middle. He only does the work for them by making a profit. He's a man they hire for money, not a guy who has his loyalty in them, but rather in the money. Clint Eastwood shows that money doesn't mean as much as we in the beginning thinks it means to him. But that's not what I'm gonna want to talk about for the rest of the video. Now we have a brief background of what's going on in the movie. And in the movie I'd like to highlight 3 things. And the first thing has with the number 3 to do. Well, you see, I've read this awesome book, and in this book I got aware of this, and that is that the movie is constructed by triangles and the number 3. The Rojos is run by 3 brothers. The Baxters are run by a mother, a husband and a son. That's also 3. And in the middle you have the innkeeper Silvanito, and you have Clint Eastwood, and you have the guy who makes the coffins. But it doesn't end there. It's another family made up by a guy whose name's Julio, Marisol, and their son Jesus. That's also 3. And some argues that Clint Eastwood himself is the number 3. Because an interesting point in the movie is that he's almost Christ-like. If you deconstruct the story, you see that it's very influenced by Jesus Christ's life. He's almost dead, he gets tortured, but he rises from the dead in a sort of resurrection way when he rests in an underground cave. But he also helps people like Jesus Christ did. He helps the innocent family and overall looks out for little people. And if we for one second assume that he's a Jesus Christ character, he is also the Holy Trinity. And I think this theory has some weight to it. Sergio Leone was a Catholic, but not also a Catholic but an Italian, and you can see that the culture of the Italian people is shown a lot in the movie, and Catholicism and Italian culture is tightly connected. And the second point I'd like to bring up is how the movie, and I think a lot of people know this, but Yojimbo by Kurosawa has the exact story, and well, Sergio Leone almost scene for scene took the story from Yojimbo. Not entirely, but almost. Well, Yojimbo being a fantastic movie, I think Sergio Leone made a better work from it. And what you will notice by the story is that it's so genius in a way that I thought it was one of the big works of literature. It's on that level, and that's not something you always see in cinema. And the third thing I'd like to bring up is how Sergio Leone almost seems to have a fetish on close-ups on faces. One interesting thing about Sergio Leone picking actors for the smaller roles in the movie is how he almost only took people with faces that were easily recognizable and had some features to it that made it stick out from the rest of all the faces you can imagine. And these faces get a lot of time in the movie. You see close-up after close-up. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. It wasn't as in-depth as you may have liked, but you know, I just want to highlight the movie. I'm gonna watch the rest of the Sergio Leone films and one by one make this kind of discussion and / highlight of the film. Thank you. Goodbye.
Get 3 coffins ready.
Huh?